Well, continuing about this business of carrying our fair share weight of the cross, of exposing the evil in the world. You consider yourself an upright, decent, righteous human being, okay, and that's a good thing. It's not a religious thing. It's just a good thing. It's a thing where you value your conscience, integrity, honor. You value your soul. You value being just a good human being. Then you have a duty, an obligation, a responsibility, and you should feel compelled to go out and expose the evil in this world. But you've got to know your stuff. You've got to know the most evil actors on the stage from the lesser evil and those that are just evil by default because they're confused, they're ignorant, they're just going along to get along, they're indifferent, they're complacent about the plight of other people, and it's just every man for himself. And you see, they're prescribing to the ways of this world through default by this social Darwinian economic system, which is only the strong survive. And that's a situation we have. And I don't like that at all, because humanity are like links in a chain. And yes, there's weak links. But should we just not strengthen those weak links, okay, and care about them the way that God wants us to? Or should we just let them snap and just go by the wayside? And we're going to stand before God someday saying we could have done more to encourage and comfort and strengthen those weak links and give a damn, about those people and expose, look, it's not you, it is the system. It is a satanic system that we've all been thrust into, like riders on the storm, that song by the Doors, right? That's what we are. We're all riders on the storm. Into this house we're thrown. Into this world we're, thrown like a dog without a bone, or riders on the storm, right? I mean, that's what it's like, and it's tough. And the older I get, the more empathy I get for other people, and I just want things to get better. I want your burden to get less, okay? And I know what it's going to take to do that. Sound economic policy, okay? That's it. Currency goes up in worth, as the cost of living goes down. The tax that we euphemistically call a cost of living. Of course, you've got a cost of living, right? They tell you. Who are they? And then people say, well, you expect the government to do... No. Then you let the government stay out. They don't get to make the rules, the regulations, the laws, or nothing then. They can't have their cake and eat it too. They can't tell me I can't homestead on one hand and tell me then, I don't have some rights here that the government's going to take care of me if the government's the one dictating to me what I can and cannot do in America. You understand? So don't give me this bull crap that I expect the government. If the government's going to allow the theft of the wealth of our nation right from under our eyes, then there's no reason why we should tolerate the government having anything to say about this. Okay, the government allowed the theft of the wealth. That was the government. These high-ranking politicians are the ones who allowed the bailout of '08 to go through. That was huge. That's when we would have seen true capitalism work with a market correction. So the government is hugely complicit and culpable in this morass of madness, economic madness that's just destroying the fabric of this country by just continuing keeping people poor. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a pyramid scheme. People think that the need for welfare is not going to increase as poverty increases. People aren't going to need more and more subsidies to pay their housing costs. What are you thinking, man? What are you smoking, man? Let's be real. Let's be honest. Good God, we're in a lot of trouble. And you should care about the little guy with the unskilled job, but whose job is just critical to the welfare of society. This is not the person you want to belittle and marginalize and subjugate. Not that you should want to belittle and marginalize, subjugate any human being. But let's be honest, equal entitlements, equal rights. If you're going to say it's okay that these banksters got away with the theft of our wealth of our nation, the money printing class and these highfalutin politicians, then you're sure as hell going to say it's okay that I expect the government to fix what they broke. You come into a store and it says if you handle the merchandise, you break it, you bought it, well, then that's what you get. End of story. No ifs, ands, or buts, no equivocation about it. That's it. And that's a situation we've got. We've got to be honest. We've got to be real. We've got to just be true to ourselves. Okay? And we can do it. like the little child that just admits, look, paying 10 cents for a pack of gum is a hell of a lot better than paying 50 cents, okay? Just like that. And it's nonsensical to keep pouring gas into a gas tank that's got a gaping hole that just keeps getting bigger. And that's the analogy, the allegory, the metaphor I use for paying these taxes, paying this $50 billion a year in Section 8 housing, and the problem just gets worse and worse and worse. It doesn't make any sense at all, and that money is not benefiting the poor. It's just going in the pockets of rich people like Robert Kiyosaki. Okay, that's where it's going. All these investors and speculators out there that are snapping up the housing that's coveted by the poor working class blue collar people and saying, well, it's okay. If I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. That's their spirit. That's their attitude. That's their rationale. So, you know, they are very subtly, they've become hypocrites in that sense. They don't want to walk a mile in the shoes of the people that they're extracting their income from. No, they just want to be what they are, where they are, who they are, and keep what they have and keep this establishment, the status quo, intact. And it's evil, and it's wrong, it's immoral, it's unethical, it's un-American, it's ungodly, all those things. I gotta move on. Good God, I'm labored in my speech today. My ear is still bugging me. Oh boy. We got the Russian Trump collusion delusion narrative has fallen apart, and so Trump's enemies now, these women say, "Oh, well, Trump, we got somebody worse than Harvey Weinstein in the Oval Office." They're saying, and that Trump should quit. He should do what Honorable Al Franken did, right? The groper. We should do what he did, right? That Trump should do that. This is all they got left. This is it. So they're calling for his resignation. You know, I have no idea what's going on with this mass sexual harassment. These people coming out of the closets. It kind of reminds me of how the pedophiles did. What was it, back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, that all this started coming out. It blew my mind. There's all these people that are pedophiles that want anything to do with children and sex. I mean, it's just disgusting. Just disgusting. And we're not talking about just somebody liking young women or something. We're talking about little kids, okay? And often these little kids are being sacrificed, according to Craig Sawyer, okay, the guy that's doing a lot of Sawman, that's been doing a lot of investigation on this. But this is just incredible. This is totally intolerable, what's going on with the kids. But, you know, I just don't understand all this sexual harassment. It's just... I don't know. I don't know what guys are thinking, but, you know, we're sure acting stupid as a whole. And it kind of makes you ashamed to be a man because it doesn't reflect good. But women, too, they shouldn't get too smug. They should start talking about all the wanton prostitution out there and how, oh, they think that's okay? This Jezebel spirit where, oh, well, you know, of course women make a lot of money. I mean, I wonder how many, you know, what the ratios are to women making money off the sex industry and men, okay? It's pretty disproportionate. So a lot of women are really benefiting from this, but then they're coming, oh, well, we're just a bunch of little, you know, snow-driven angels, white as driven snow angels and Puritans, and, you know, all women are just all pure, and we don't ever do anything wrong, right? Yeah. Right. I mean, it's just, we all know that's a crock of bull, too. So, you know, some of these women that get all sanctimonious on their high horse, they sicken me. I got to be honest, especially when they're calling for Trump to stand down, when really I know it's just political. Because he's anti-establishment, he threatens the status quo, and he's for the working class. He's for making America a more livable place, not for some of the people, but for all of the people. And so all these people, they come under this guise, they're like wolves in sheep's clothing, under this guise of sanctimonium, and they're just a bunch of lowlifes as far as I'm concerned. that just are diverters, and they deflect, and oh, well, let's just change the subject. And it's all, ironic. It's just perverted irony that these people are like this, and their issues don't hold water. It's like the analogy Jesus gave. It's like, these people, these hypocrites, they strain out a gnat yet swallow a camel. I see the mainstream media doing this constantly. The stories they fixate on, and then the ones that they ignore. And it's like, what are you thinking here? These are stories of interest, yet they won't touch them with a 10-foot pole. And all these things, these little gnats, they're all fixated and focused on, that are irrelevant. They're just a deflection, a distraction, a diversion from the crimes, high crimes and misdemeanors that are being committed day in and day out by the money printing class and these high bigwig politicians out there, the senators and the Congress and all this crap. And the mainstream media won't talk about how much it'd be cheaper. Do the math on how much cheaper if we just end extreme poverty, how crime would plummet. Have a sociologist interviewed and say, yeah, well, it's true that if we did end desperate poverty, if we did have a minimum guaranteed income, and we didn't have all these people that were desperately poverty, how crime would plummet. Okay, a sociologist would be able to tell you, yeah, well, that's a fact. That's true. If people weren't that worried about, they're losing the roof over their head or the food on their table or clean water to drink or their energy needs being met, that you would have a lot. It'd be cheaper. Do you understand? Your taxes would go down. That's the kind of stuff I want to see the mainstream media talk about. And how much harder it'd be to start these dubious wars where we got 22 guys a day taking their own lives. This is the kind of stuff I want the mainstream media to stop avoiding talking about. Let's talk about it. The national debt, how quickly and easily we can get that paid off. Let's talk about how we could end extreme poverty all around the world in short order. Let's let the mainstream media talk about these things. Educate the people. It's your job. You're supposed to be the cutting edge educators out there. Let's hear it. Let's hear you dispute a guy like me. Why don't you interview a guy like me? I'm not hard to get a hold of. I'm not a mystery. My name, I'm not using a pseudonym. Contact me. You want to get informed? I'll ask the hardball questions, though. And your grand puppeteers that are giving you the scripts that you're told you got to read this and don't get involved in that. That goes above the public's head. This guy's trying to talk above people's heads when he says, ask a child would he rather pay 50 cents for a pack of gum or 10 cents. Don't listen to that guy. He's just stupid. He doesn't have a Harvard degree or a PhD or a math. Listen to me. Will I keep on peddling retrogression and regression and wealth disparity and keep peddling poverty and social welfare state and dubious war and plenty of healthy crime rate and national debt? All these things are necessary, and just go along with the flow, go with the status quo establishment, just keep on keeping on. Just do what I tell you. These are the strings I'm pulling. Don't go against it. You lose your job, then you'll be out there dying out in the cold or looking to go get welfare. So you understand the incentive, the motivation all these reporters, so-called journalists, these mainstream media people have to just read off the script and don't deviate from that? So we've all just got to be honest here. The fear, it's a fear-driven reality, society, monetary-based unreality. The money masters of misery want to keep on trucking, man, and we've got to tell them no. We got to say, no, we're going to parent you. We're putting our foot down here. We're going to demand sound economic policies, and we're going to define progress. We're going to have a meeting of the minds. Forget the left-right BS paradigm you're trying to shove down our throats to divide us, to keep us stupid, ignorant, and confused about these issues. Keep us in the muddied, bloodied waters while you swim in the clear waters of Luciferianism, and you just divorced yourself from the common men, right? You're better. You're the elite, right? And you don't have to contend with the commoners, right? You got to stop working for these people, you mainstream media, especially on the national, international scale I'm talking about. You people are sellouts, man. You're going to hell in a rocket. You're going to stand before your owner, your maker, creator, God Almighty someday, and you're going to give an explanation, an account of your belief system. You're going to have to give basis and justification for why you believe that way. And remember, God's not going to buy a lot of psychobabble coming out of your mouth, okay, my mouth or anybody else's mouth. Okay, so you better, what you believe better hold water. It better have substance. You better be based on reality, morality, ethics, principles, integrity, honor, proof that you value your soul and where it goes from here. Shocking police video, that shooting where that guy was crawling on the ground. He went to reach, I think, to pull up his pants a little bit. Didn't want his pants falling off, and he got shot in the top of his head a few times, I guess. And messed up stuff, man. Although the guy's not a cop anymore, he wasn't incarcerated, though I guess he was charged and found innocent. Pretty messed up. Hothead like that. That was just. He seemed to be one of these guys that was just, itching to be a violent man. The scriptures say, the soul of God hates those that love violence. Something to that effect. And I feel sorry. I wouldn't want to stand before God and answer for that act of violence. No way.